Hello everyone, I'm Beth Golden. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I want to show you how I created this truck. This is for the Joy Claire blog post on June 1st, and I was just experimenting with this new stamp set that they have out. It is called Friendship and Flowers. It's so fun because you can put the sentiment right here on the tailgate, and then on the license plate, these all fit perfectly. So I created this card, and as I was doing it, I thought, that would be a fun technique to teach, or to do a tutorial on, I should say, because I'm using a product that maybe you guys don't know about, and I had just gotten it from Eileen Hull. It's these blends too, and so I was playing with them. She mailed me all of the new colors. So I thought I would create this with you and show you one way you can use this type of medium. And I'm going to be having on my channel, I've decided I want to do a like 5 ways, 3 ways, 5 ways, or 7 ways to use your blends too, to kind of give you an idea of how versatile they are. I haven't decided how many ways yet because I still have to write it out. I'm still learning myself. But anyway, for this, I'm going to show you how to paint with it. And I'm also going to show you how to do this clear emboss up here. It is so fun. I am in love with this clear. It is clear. It's just the clear ink. So let me show you what colors we're going to be using today. We're going to be using the clear transparent color, wild berry for the flowers, as well as pansy and hydrangea. I can't even say it. Then we're going to be using golden for the truck, silver for all the chrome pieces on the truck, ebony for the tires, and also flagstone for the tires as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. I did stamp my image with some StazOn ink. I stamped it first with the jet black, and then for the tailgate, let me show you that. So this is the stamp set I'm using again. It's Friends and Flowers. It's the new one out by Joy Claire. So for the tailgate, I chose to stamp in the Claret. And then for the Grateful, I did Cloudy Sky. So basically a black, red, or more of a burgundy, brownish red, and a gray. And I did that because StazOn Ink is super good about staying put. It doesn't run or anything. And this is a wet medium. So that's kind of what I was at with that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to start to color in my truck. So I'm going to take the golden, and I just need literally like one drop of it. It's incredible. And I'm going to take my paintbrush, and I'm just going to start to paint. Now, if I notice as I'm painting that it's a little bit too intense, because this will go on really opaque. So I like to kind of paint off some of the color onto my craft mat. That way it doesn't go on quite as opaque, especially over these words. I want those to show through. So I do that first. And then I'm going to go over and paint the rest of this. So that goes on. And now I can go over, since I have that done, and just start to work through and paint those other areas. And again, I'm doing, this is my muse, this one I just did for the blog post. Now, one thing that I noticed, especially when I was doing with that metallic down there, is that if it's too thick, it'll actually cover up some of the lines, because it's really good coverage. So what you can do is, I just went back in and I just drew in those lines. Super easy. But as you can see, I'm definitely being careful with this, making sure that I use the side of my paintbrush as to stay in the line. So I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll come back and do the next portion. I went ahead and colored in the image just because it would be boring for you to watch the whole process, but I do want to show you something. These are really cool because I'm going to take this wild berry here and I'm going to do a little bit off to the side. That is a very intense color, really thick, right? So let's say that you're putting on your color and you put it on and the line on it is just a little bit too thick, or you can see those brush strokes, and that's something that, you know, you don't want. All you have to do, get this, this is so cool, is you just take some water. You're just going to take some water and then you're going to brush over it, and it's going to totally blend that out. And it looks like a watercolor. And the more you brush it out, the more you're going to get a lighter image. You can even spray it directly on there. And look, it just continues to pull those lines out. So that's what I did down here, because some of my truck was looking a little bit intense, like right there. That line looks super intense. So I want to go back through and maybe, you know, pick up a little bit of this and just, because it's watered down, and just blend it on through. So that's something to keep in mind with these. So that it works very nicely with water. Sometimes when you have a highly pigmented ink, they don't work well with water. They tend to separate and it gets gross, and that's not what happens here. So I want to do the bumper, and let me wipe up my space. So for the bumper, I'm going to use silver. Now, the blend silver is a metallic, and the properties on this are a little bit different than just the color. So it's going to come on thicker than the other colors, but you can use water with it. So I'm just going to take and see how thick that is compared. The bottle even feels a little bit thicker. So keep that in mind. And I'm going to take my spray bottle, and I can show you what this looks like before I spray it out. So let's just say that I do this. It's like really thick. Okay. So, and then I can just take my spray bottle, and I'm going to mix the water in with my silver, and look how pretty that is. I mean, it really loosened up, no separation, absolutely perfect. All right, so I'm going to scrape off some of that, dry it off a little, because I can always go back and add more, but I cannot take it out if I add too much. So I'm just going to go on through, and this time I'm not entirely covering my lines, but that looks so pretty. It really does look like a metallic bumper. Love it. All right, so the image is colored in, and now we get to do the fun part. Now we're going to be using this amazing clear ink. I've never ever had clear ink before, in a bottle form at least. So this is fun. I love what we're about to do. We are going to gives it some shine, so to speak, for our license plate, and we're also going to make the back window look like glass. And I'm going to be using the glistening glass, also by Eileen Hull, and then her clear transparent on this. For this particular, you could use a paintbrush on this, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna take and just kind of spread it out with my tip of my little dabber thing here. I don't know the technical term. Pardon me. And it's going to be so cool because, you know, old vintage trucks don't have always the smooth glass. Sometimes, you know, they're kind of messed up. So that's what I like about this, is I can lay this out and it's going to give me a glass effect. And then I'm going to lay some out down here on my Grateful. And then I also want to get right on these taillights too as well. Again, you could use a paintbrush, totally fine. but I am not. I'm just going to use the tips like this. And then the fun part, well, almost the fun part. I'm going to take the glistening glass. It's really thick embossing powder. It's by Emerald Creek, does it for her. I'll have her Etsy shop listed down below too for you if you're interested in all this lovely. And then I'm going to take my heat gun and I am just going to melt it. The trick to this though is you really want to melt this from the bottom up. Since I've noticed though, as I say that this clear ink really doesn't allow a lot of blow away. Sometimes when you have this thicker type embossing, it tends to want to blow up and out and away, but this really does hold it. But just in general, as a general rule of thumb, when you're working with extra thick embossing powder, you want to start from the bottom. So you're going to go under like so, and it's just going to start to melt it ever so slightly. And I'm going to do that all over. Make sure you move it around, because if you don't move it around, you could have a fire. You could have some burning. We don't want that. And then once I notice that it's starting to melt, which it is, I can go ahead and just flip it over like this. And I'm going to hold it up because it gets pretty hot. But look at that. You can see it is melting. It looks like glass. How cool is that? Isn't that amazing? There's so much possibilities with this. You know what else you can do with this? You could throw in some mica powder after this melts. Throw in some mica powder and melt that in, and it'll give a really cool effect as well. So there's lots to do. And then there we go. That little cute truck is totally done. And on this one, I do notice that I do have right here, there's a little hole that I need to color in. But if you notice on this, I did go ahead and use some Nuvo clear gems as the centers of these flowers. I got this from another design team member on the Joy Claire blog. So this is beautiful. And the little flowers that I used are the Nuvo clear gems. They're these. They're by far my favorite gems ever. Look how sparkly those are. I mean, they're amazing. They're so beautiful. So pretty. Love them. So anyway, this is just kind of a rundown of how I created this card, the piece, this piece right here. Now, since this did melt and it is liquid, it is going to be hot, so you want to keep your hands off of it for a little bit. It doesn't take long to cool down, but you definitely do want to let it cool down before you start to handle it. I'm going to be doing a video on definitely some different ways to use the blends. I don't think a lot of crafters know about Color Blocks Blends by Eileen Hull, and I really think that this is a versatile, multi-functional, really user-friendly type of medium that most crafters should have in their stash, especially if they're stampers or painters. It can go across the board on a lot of different things. And she did give me these. The story behind it is, and I'll show you what colors I have here that we used on these. But it's funny because I was at Creativation and she was, I think I was over Emerald Creek of all places, and she was coming through and she had a bag full of these, and she goes, "Hey, anybody want to try out some blends? It's my new release and I have extras." And so I'm like, "Yeah, I'll try them." And so I picked out 7 different colors from her right there, and I took them home. And I immediately started to play with them, and I was really fascinated by them. And so I just started to play with them and post some stuff on YouTube and on Facebook and stuff with them because I really liked them. And so when her next line came out, or the whole line came out, because I only had 7 of, I think, the 24 that are out. So when the next came out, she sent me the full line at that point. And I've just been having so much fun playing with these. And I have to say that one drop will get so much. Like, I painted both of these trucks. This was done with one drop, like not even one drop. I mean, it really, it's a lot of, there's a lot even though it's only 2 ounces or 1 fluid ounce in this, that 1 fluid ounce goes really far. I don't see a constant need to reorder. I think this is going to last a long, long time. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you head over and check out the Joy Claire website or their blog on June 1st. That's when I'm going to have this. I also will list her Etsy shop for these blends. It's a fun Etsy shop. She has some great products over there as well. And then always, follow me on my website, betsgolden.com. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I always try to read them and respond and whatnot. And I hope you consider subscribing if you haven't done so. Until next time, happy crafting!